Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know how much we love to geek out over good design, right?
Absolutely.
Well, buckle up because today's deep dive is all about a minimalist bedroom, and let me tell you, this one's got layers.
It really does. And what makes this analysis so fascinating is that it's not just someone's hot take on Pinterest.
Yeah.
This is a professional breakdown of why this bedroom works, how the design choices all come together.
It's like having a design guru whispering secrets in your ear.
Exactly.
And trust me, you'll want to take notes. Okay, so first impression, this room is stunning, obviously, but the analysis jumps right into what makes it minimalist. We're talking clean lines, uncluttered surfaces, that kind of thing.
Right, and it's so interesting because this goes beyond just a trend. Minimalism, especially in bedrooms, it's like this desire for calm, visual peace in our otherwise chaotic world.
Totally. Like, our lives are busy enough, the last thing we need is a bedroom that feels like a cluttered mess. And speaking of peace, can we talk about these windows? Floor to ceiling, my friends. It's like bringing the outdoors in, which I know is a minimalist staple, but still.
Oh, it's a statement for sure. And the analysis actually talks about how that much natural light, it's not just pretty, it actually impacts your mood, makes the space feel bigger. It's mimicking what's naturally calming to us.
It's like bringing the Zen garden indoors.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, then they hit us with these dark, matte walls. Dark walls in a bedroom. Is that even allowed?
Right. You wouldn't think to put those two together, bright light, dark walls. But the analysis explains how it creates this balance.
Okay, because my initial thought was, this is going to feel like a cave, right?
Right. But the darkness, especially with that matte finish, it actually makes the windows pop even more. It's like using the darkness to highlight the light.
Mind blown. I never thought of it that way. Okay, so we've got the light, we've got the dark. Now let's talk about the furniture, because the analysis points out how everything feels very intentional and purposeful. Even the nightstands, which, by the way, appear to be floating.
I was wondering if you were going to mention those. That was the first thing I noticed. They look amazing, very modern, but practically speaking, how do they even work?
Exactly. Like, are they bolted to the wall, held up by magic?
Well, the analysis suggests they're most likely wall-mounted with some heavy-duty hardware, maybe even reinforced during construction. Not exactly a DIY project for a renter.
Definitely not. And it's funny because my brain went straight to, okay, but where do you put your stuff?
Yeah.
Like, I need a book, a glass of water, maybe a charging cable within arm's reach. Am I right?
Absolutely. And the analysis addresses that, suggesting there might be hidden storage. Maybe drawers built into the underside of those floating surfaces, or even cabinets along the wall that blend in seamlessly.
Okay, now that's just cool. Minimalist spy tech.
Right. It's all about being intentional with every element, making sure it serves a purpose, even if that purpose is to just look really, really cool.
Minimalist spy tech, I love it. But it does make you think this level of design, it's got to be intentional, right? Like every little detail has been thought through, from the placement of the furniture to, I don't know, the type of light bulbs they're using.
Absolutely. And the analysis actually talks about this in detail. They delve into the lighting design and how it plays a huge role in creating that feeling of warmth and intimacy in the room. Because you're right, minimalism can sometimes feel cold or sterile if you're not careful.
Right. It's like walking into a very chic doctor's office.
Exactly. But in this bedroom, they use lighting to really warm things up. For example, instead of harsh overhead fixtures, they've got recessed lighting in the ceiling.
Ah, so it's like that soft, diffused glow that makes everything look amazing.
Exactly. And they've also got lighting behind the headboard, which creates this sort of halo effect. It's really subtle, but it adds another layer of warmth and dimension to the space.
Speaking of subtle, I keep seeing this backlit mirror mentioned in the analysis. Is that like a fancy word for a mirror with a light bulb above it?
Kind of, but not exactly. This is where it gets really cool. The light source is actually behind the mirror itself.
Okay, so instead of just shining light on the mirror, it's like the light is coming from within.
Exactly. And that creates this really soft, diffused glow around the edges of the mirror. It's like a halo effect, like we were talking about with the headboard.
See, this is why we love deep dives. So many little details you wouldn't even think about. But they all work together to create this very specific mood and atmosphere.
Exactly. And speaking of mood and atmosphere, we have to talk about those dark walls again. As much as I love the drama they add, the analysis does point out some potential drawbacks.
Yeah, like how much natural light is enough to keep a room with dark walls from feeling like a dungeon?
Right. And they suggest that if you're going for dark walls, incorporating lighter textiles can help soften things up, like maybe some light-colored bedding, a rug with some warmer tones.
Oh, and don't forget the power of a strategically placed houseplant.
Exactly. A little bit of greenery can go a long way in brightening up a space.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Even with those suggestions, I think this particular bedroom can pull off the dark walls because of all the other design choices they made.
Right, like those massive windows. It's all about balance, right?
Exactly. Balance is key. And speaking of balance, I was struck by the analysis's comments about the materials used in the room, specifically how they create this balance between the cool and the warm, the smooth and the textured.
Oh, yeah. We've got those sleek, almost futuristic-looking nightstands, but then you've got the warmth of the wood flooring. And don't even get me started on that rug.
Right. It's like a soft, fluffy cloud at the foot of the bed.
Yeah.
And the texture it adds. It's like a little visual vacation for your feet.
And it's not just any rug. It's got this really interesting texture and this gradient of color that ties in perfectly with the rest of the room.
Exactly. It's all about those little details. They really elevate this space from just minimalist to what the analysis calls luxe minimalism.
Okay, so I'm hearing luxe. I'm assuming that means expensive, right?
Right.
Like, is this whole minimalist thing just a fancy way of saying I have expensive taste?
Not necessarily. It's more about the feeling. Luxe minimalism is still minimalist at its core, but with an emphasis on high-quality materials and this overall feeling of curated comfort.
So it's like saying, yes, I have amazing taste, but I also know how to relax and enjoy myself.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between style and comfort.
I like it. Okay, so we've established that this bedroom is the epitome of minimalist chic. But let's get real for a second. Those stunning floor-to-ceiling windows, they're gorgeous, but are they practical?
Right. I mean, I love the idea of waking up to the sunrise, but I also love my privacy.
Yeah.
And my energy bill's not going through the roof.
Exactly. And the analysis actually addresses those concerns. They talk about how, depending on your climate, those gorgeous windows could turn your bedroom into a sauna in the summer or an icebox in the winter.
Not exactly the peaceful oasis we were going for. Right. But they also suggest some solutions like incorporating motorized blinds that you can control with the touch of a button, or even just making sure the windows have a high thermal insulation rating.
Okay, so stylish A&D, energy efficient. I can get behind that. But you know what else I noticed? The room, as beautiful as it is, it kind of feels like, well, no one actually lives there.
I see what you mean. Like it's a little too perfect, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where the personal touch comes in, right? The analysis even mentions this, adding things like books, artwork, maybe a few throw pillows, just to make it feel a little more lived in.
Totally. Because at the end of the day, a bedroom, minimalist or not, it should feel like your own little sanctuary, right?
Absolutely. A place where you can relax and recharge, surrounded by things you love. And I think that's a great note to end on. This deep dive has been all about finding that balance, right? Between aesthetics and functionality, between boldness and subtlety. It's about creating a space that's both visually stunning and truly livable.
I couldn't agree more. It's about understanding the principles of good design, but also being open to adapting them to your own personal style and needs.
Well said. So as you're looking at your own spaces this week, maybe thinking about incorporating some of these minimalist ideas, just remember it's not about having less. It's about choosing more intentionally with your space, more intentionally with your time, and more intentionally with the things that bring you joy. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time for more design inspiration.